Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel, and on today's video I'm going to be discussing some great news that happened in the horror community yesterday, and that is that the Friday the 13th lawsuit officially came to an end. So to kind of explain in simple terms what happened with the Friday the 13th lawsuit to begin with, essentially in the 1980s, the early 1980s or maybe the late 1970s, I don't know, Victor Miller was approached by Sean Cunningham to write a movie called Friday the 13th. And essentially, Victor Miller wrote, the original Friday the 13th as it is, and he wrote it with Camp Crystal Lake, and Pamela Voorhees, and deformed Jason as a child. And then, Victor Miller, there's this new copyright law where basically every 35 years, if you were the original creator, you can get your character back. So, Victor Miller took Sean Cunningham and Horror Inc. to court. So, because of that, they've been in a legal battle for like 4 years now. That legal battle basically halted any Friday the 13th related stuff besides like merchandise. So Friday the 13th the game, they couldn't make any more content. Uber Jason never came to the game. No other Jasons came to the game after the lawsuit was in full effect. And then there's been like no movies in like over 10 years now. But obviously, during that time that the lawsuit was at its peak, they couldn't make any Jason movies. And today, the court actually ruled in favor of Victor, and he officially owns the rights, I believe the domestic rights, to Jason and the original Friday the 13th movie in domestic areas. So, here's the thing. It's great that the lawsuit is over, and, it's a great step in the right direction that we can finally get Jason to make a comeback, make a new Friday the 13th movie, and also so now we can finally have Jason possibly show up in DVD as well. So these are all great things. However, just to explain though, it's not all like, we're immediately going to get a Friday the 13th movie, we're immediately going to get Jason in DVD, we're going to immediately get another Friday the 13th game. No, that's not how this works. So, Victor does own it, but Victor owns the original movie. So Victor doesn't own, like, Jason with the hockey mask or anything like that. So, like I said, he only owns the original movie, like Young Jason, Pamela Voorhees, and Camp Crystal Lake. So, if Victor Miller were to continue with only his part of the rights of the franchise and make a new movie, he couldn't use certain aspects of the latest movies. Probably couldn't use the hockey mask and stuff like that, because that would basically be infringing on the rights / copyright of Jason in the other movies. Yes, I know this is confusing because it's the same character, but try to bear with me here. So, essentially, like I said, okay, Victor Miller owns the original Friday the 13th and everything in it. But then Sean Cunningham and Horror Inc. own everything after the first one. So part 2 to the Friday the 13th remake, they all are owned by Sean Cunningham. And like I said, that's the Jason that people know. Jason with the hockey mask going around killing people and stuff like that. That is the Jason that people want to see. So it's kind of confusing, but I'm going to try my best to kind of unpack it here. So, from what I know, the only way that we could actually get a Friday the 13th movie that we would love to see is for Victor Miller and Sean Cunningham and Horror Inc. to just be like, alright, you know what? We had our legal dispute. Victor Miller won it. So, what we're going to do now is we're going to come together. We're going to kind of put the rights together so we can have the origin story of Jason. And then we're going to have the older Jason with, the hockey mask as well. So that would be like the perfect outcome, but that could take years for that to happen. There would need to be lots of behind the scenes thing going on, contracts signed. They would need to make a deal with each other, because Victor Miller and Sean Cunningham would both have to make money from the movie essentially. Now, if that weren't to happen, it would be kind of a strange thing, because you could possibly have 2 sets of like Friday the 13th type movies. So you could have a sequel to the original movie where they change up everything and it's not Jason with a hockey mask. And then you can have the other one where it is Jason with a hockey mask, but he doesn't have the origin story of being, a deformed child who was bullied and then his mother was killed after she murdered a bunch of the camp counselors. And I know that none of us would want that to happen, just because it's like, well, it's not the same if Jason, is running around in a hockey mask, but he doesn't have the same story and he's a completely different character. It's basically just, it seemed like just a copycat killer or something like that. And nobody would want to see that happen for obvious reasons, because we don't want a toned down or version of Jason that is just basically like generic Jason who doesn't have the same backstory at all. I mean, he's not even the same character at that point. So yeah, I just had to preface that before, I don't want anyone getting their hopes up and being like, okay, we got a new Friday the 13th movie and game and he's coming to DVD in the next 2 years, let's go. Nah, it's still, the franchise might still remain dormant for a little bit because they're going to have to make a deal now and everything's going to have to come together with that before we can start getting, Jason in Dead by Daylight. Because if Jason were to come into Dead by Daylight, but it was this weird rights thing where it was older Jason, they would have to, like, completely make a new origin story for Jason. And it's like, do we really want a new origin story for Jason? No. Jason's origin story is perfect as is, and we don't want that to be changed for obvious reasons. He's a legendary character who's already been established for almost 40 years now. So, we don't want that to be changed up at all for obvious reasons. Jason should stay the way he is. So, Sean Cunningham and Victor Miller kind of just need to come together and be like, hey, let's patch this out. We went to court over it. You won. Let's both make some money. And, let's make a new movie or a game or put them in Dead by Daylight or whatever. But enough with the complicated legal crap. Let me just rejoice for a minute at how awesome it is that the lawsuit is finally over and just give you a recap about what happened and, how I felt about the lawsuit. So, as you can tell if you've been subbed to my channel for a while, if you go back to my old videos, there's a lot of Friday the 13th the Game videos. I loved Friday the 13th the Game. I thought it was awesome. It had a lot of bugs, but I thought it was super fun. And I really loved that game and put a lot of time into it. I even have the Savini Jason skin because I donated to the game before it came out. But it was just such a shame while that game was really starting to pick up and become better and bigger that unfortunately the development of the game basically got halted and they couldn't make any content because of the lawsuit. It was just absolutely terrible timing, and you just want to hope that they will, make a part 2 or something like that to actually give us these things, or even pick up with Friday the 13th the Game, but I doubt that, honestly. I highly doubt that they will add any more content to Friday the 13th the Game. I mean, that game's been done for 4 years now, ever since the lawsuit basically started, so I don't think it would be a smart idea for them to go back and start working on it again. Although the game is massively popular, I think it would probably be better for them to just make a Friday the 13th the Game Part 2 or something along those lines. And in terms of making an actual movie, it's been over like 10 years since the Friday the 13th movie came out. The last one that came out was the Friday the 13th remake that came out in 2009, which I thought was pretty good. But it's been so long, it's like, come on, we gotta have another one now. All these big slasher movies are making comebacks like Halloween and, Child's Play. They made a remake of that, and they're now doing a show as well. So it's like, you need Jason to come back during all this. So you hope to God that they settle this with each other and get on making a new movie as soon as possible and make it really good. I mean, one idea for a movie that like everybody wants is Jason in the like snow. That would be awesome. Everybody wants Jason in the snow for some reason. I do too, to be honest. Like, there's just something different about seeing Jason in a different weather instead of it just always being summertime and whatever in Camp Crystal Lake. So to have it be in a snowy field, that'd be pretty cool. And as for Dead by Daylight, like I said, Victor Miller and Sean Cunningham and Horror Inc. would all need to come to an agreement with each other and then, put the rights together and kind of be like, hey, let's, get Jason in DVD or whatever. So whether or not Sean Cunningham and Victor Miller would just come together or some other sort of deal would happen like that, I'm not really sure what it would be. But like I said, if we want to see Jason the way he is in other things, like in a movie or game or whatever, they need to come together first, or else it's just going to be some weird sort of copyright, loophole Jason thing, which is not what we want. But yes, this is great news in terms of, getting the ball rolling on Jason coming to Dead by Daylight. I mean, like I said, come together, we could get Jason in Dead by Daylight in the next couple years. And I think, obviously, Jason is basically the big one that needs to be added in Dead by Daylight. Like, once Jason's added, they have I would say all the massive horror slashers. I mean, yeah, they're still missing some of them, like Pennywise and Candyman, But those characters, as big as Pennywise is, I'm not saying he's not, but Jason is like on another level. Like, Jason is arguably the most iconic slasher. I mean, Michael Myers is my favorite, but Jason is just as big, if not bigger. And obviously, Matthew Cote and Behavior have expressed interest in wanting to have Jason in Dead by Daylight. So, if there's anybody that could get Jason in their game, it's Matthew Cote and Behavior. Like, they seem very committed to getting characters, you know, legendary horror characters put into Dead by Daylight, no matter what they are. So I would honestly say that we could be seeing Jason in Dead by Daylight in the next 3 or 4 years. I mean, I know that sounds like far off, and, you know, it is, but it's also like, it's better than how we thought like 6 months ago, where I was just kind of like, you know what, I don't know if they'll ever make another Jason movie again. But now there's hope, because we finally figured out, the lawsuit is finally finished, and now we can just get on to them settling with each other and, you know, making an agreement to make a movie or whatever. So that way, we can just finally get a new Friday the 13th movie. We can finally get more Jason stuff. It's about time, man. Jason he's my second favorite slasher. You know, Michael's my favorite, but then it's Jason. Jason is just so iconic, so awesome. Gotta love the hockey mask. Gotta love the machete, the brutal kills, all that type of stuff. And this is just really great news overall for the entire franchise. I mean, you know, like I said, it's not like over yet to get a new movie made, but it's really a massive step in the right direction. So I'm happy to hear the news. You know, I'm sure everyone who's a Jason fan is really happy to hear the news. The news, not the nudes. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section, and you guys stay groovy.